We are 11 trading days away from the next Federal Reserve statement and economic projections, and the Fed funds futures pits. This is where they bet on whether we'll see rate hikes are dropping as we speak for the month of June. So this morning it showed a 24% probability of a June hike, but look at it now. It's dropped to 21%. That's the chance that these traders bet we'll see a rate hike at the next meeting. So what global economic conditions are playing a role in the Fed's decision? What's going on here that they think is so bad? Should investors instead be looking to July or September, or maybe after the election for the next rate hike? Joining me now in a First on Fox Business interview is Allianz Chief Economic Advisor Mohamed El Erian. All right, where do you stand? I have tweeted out to everybody he's going to make his latest call on whether we see the Fed pull the trigger on a rate hike come, what is it, June 15th? What do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely by July. June is a bit iffish, not because of the domestic economic conditions. If it were only up to the U.S. economy, the Fed would hike in June. But the global economy, and particularly the risk of a Brexit referendum, is high. So I think definitely July, maybe June, but definitely by July.
Okay, definitely by July. Now, when you look at the issues that are happening, look, today we got what I saw was an April consumer spending number highest in 6 years. We got good home prices moving. Oil is moving higher. That seems to have stabilized. What is the Fed so afraid of, Mohamed?
So, again, the U.S. economy at 2 to 2.5%, that's what all the numbers are pointing to, says go ahead and hike. The fact that we have repriced the fixed income market and that the equity markets has done relatively well, at least it has been orderly, that also is a green light to hike. The problem, Liz, is what's happening in the rest of the world. It's a weak global economy. It's an uneven global economy. And then you have this event risk on June 23rd of the Brexit referendum. So, that's why it's hard to say June for sure, but I'm pretty comfortable telling you definitely by July.
You look at what people are worried about, a crash, a recession, because growth seemed to be so razor slim, so thin at this point. Do you see any kind of recession or crash coming, I want to say, by the end of this year?
No, I'm not in that camp. In fact, if you extend it to 2017, I would put the probability of recession in 2017 at about 30%. So it's not an overwhelming probability. It's a risk and something that we should look at. And again, the risk is from outside the U.S. And that's important to emphasize because our economy, while not great. Is it
China? Are you worried about China contagion?
So if you look at the rest of the world, you have China soft landing with imbalances still there. You have Russia and Brazil in recession. You have Europe and Japan that are giving up some of the cyclical gains. So it's not a great global economy. So any policy mistake outside or a small market accident, and that could be a significant headwind. That is what the Fed is worried about.
Can I throw this at you? Because it has been developing, and it's the situation in Venezuela. Now, you could argue that it's a tiny, very weak economy. It appears to be collapsing. It is an oil power in some ways, and it also could have been a consumer power, but it's run by a socialist government, and what appears to be mayhem is developing right now. Could that trigger a global situation?
So it's a tragic and sad situation. In fact, I would tell you they are that far away from being a failed state. And for a country with as many resources as Venezuela, that is a very worrisome statement. They shouldn't be anywhere near where they are today. Is it a major systemic risk? No. It's a big problem for the Venezuelans, but it's not a major systemic risk. But what we're seeing throughout the region is a shift to right-wing politics. If you look at what's happening in Brazil, in Chile, in Argentina, potentially in Venezuela, you're seeing somewhat of a shift away from populist, fiscally irresponsible policies towards more right-wing policies.
Mohamed, thank you. A voice of reason, certainly. We hope you're right. We shall see. But definitely you say July. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you, Liz.